whenever you're ready. Hey honey, you know that duckbill valve replacement video that we did? The one that's got over 26,000 views?
What?
Yeah, 26,000 views.
Wow.
Tons of comments, lots of, you the man, great job, what a shitty job. But also lots of questions. So maybe troubleshooting might be a good idea.
Okay, like what kind of?
Okay, so like one guy's like, I just changed mine, but the pump won't stop running. The bowl is sealed. Please help!
Alright, well, you know, there's a vacuum between the toilet and the pump, right? The pump creates a vacuum, and it's a hose that goes to the toilet, and then there's a couple of seals in the toilet. So let me show you.
Okay, yeah, so we'll go to the head.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright, so the hose, you know, comes to the bottom of the toilet, right? And there's a couple of seals in here. There's the seal, you see that black ring around that bottom thing? That could be leaking, but if it was, then it would suck the water out of the bowl, right?
Right.
So that's a telltale sign right there. If the water is disappearing from the bowl, then you're not getting a good seal there. I've never had to replace that one, but a lot of times like some sand from like swimming or whatever gets down in there and stops it from sealing.
Or other stuff.
So just to, you know, maybe an extra flush might flush it away.
Right.
They also have this stuff, toilet seal.
Yeah.
Lubricant. You just pour that in there, let it settle in, and it sort of moisturizes the seal. That helps. But if the water's staying in the bowl and you're still leaking, you know, it keeps pumping, you could have a bad seal. There's a seal around this shaft where the lever goes through, right?
Right.
And I've never had to replace that either, but that's another place where air could leak through there and the vacuum goes away and causes the pump to kick on again, right? So that's the other seal to consider.
So what about our famous duckbill valve? Like, when does that required?
Well, I've only had to do it once in like the past 10 years, right?
Right.
So,
but it's really common.
Yeah, it's really common. They definitely go bad, you know, because they're in line with the hose, right? So the waste goes through there. They get dry rotted and less flexible, and they're supposed to snap shut from the vacuum. But if they're not snapping shut good enough, or they're, you know, there's crud keeping them from closing, then the vacuum's going to leak out. So that's what happened to us, right? It was pumping every so many minutes.
Right.
You see the voltage bouncing around when the pump is going. And what happens is it keeps pumping until it reestablishes the vacuum for the next flush. And that vacuum has to stay in there, and it's sealed in by, there's a gasket around that lid in the bottom of the toilet, and there's also seals back by the pump. And when those seals start to fail, it'll pump out of nowhere, or it'll take a long time, like it's doing for me now. It's taking a long time to build the pressure back up. Pumps too long. So you can tell which side is the problem, because if this seal is bad, it'll suck the water out of the bowl. But that's not happening, so I think it's time to replace the seals around the pump in the back, and those are called duckbill valves. Let's go check it out.
Right.
And replacing the duckbill valves solved that.
So when you go to flush and you hear the pump back in the bilge just constantly pumping after you flush, and it doesn't seem to stop, that's a duckbill valve.
Typically, or one of these two seals, right?
Right.
The other thing is, you know, if something gets flushed down there and it stops up the line,
yeah,
you know, that can cause problems too. Cause it not to flush, or, you know, you flush and nothing seems to happen. You can use a plunger.
Ooh, yeah, right.
But you got to be careful, right?
Right. Because
you can plunge down, which pushes the waste through, but you can't pull it back up, because that can cause the duckbill valves to get invert, and get ruined.
Right.
So what you're supposed to do is you plunge down, and then you slide sideways to break the seal, and then plunge down again until it's cleared. I've had to do that once or twice when the girls flushed like toilet paper or something down there. Or a giant poop.
Well, they don't watch our videos anyway. They don't
Right.
Yeah. But do you appreciate the clean bowl for this video?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very nice.
That was nice. Yeah. any other?
So other things can go wrong. Here, let me get out of here. Other things can go wrong with the pump besides the duckbill valves. There's also the bellows, right?
Okay.
So the way the pump works is there's a little motor, and it pushes this bellows up and down, right? And that creates the suction, right? And the duckbill valves make it so that the suction only goes the one direction, right? Or it pushes towards the tank, right? And away from the toilet. And so that it's a plastic accordion style bellows, so that can crack, and that's a nasty business because then when the pump's running, it's squirting stuff into the bilge, right?
Nice.
So you'll smell that when that fails, right?
Okay. Is that something that we'd be able to do ourselves, or
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all doable, right?
Right.
There's like the motor, the little arm. That turns that motor spinning into like a up and down motion that works the bellows. So there's the bellows, there's the duckbill valves, and there's a bunch of pipe parts and fittings and stuff. But that's basically all there is to the system. And the only thing I've had to do to the pump was replace the duckbill valves, and that little arm coming off the motor. Or this one over here got like loose, so it was like
right when you went down there
acting
and you
weird.
realized
So I snugged that up, and everything's all good. So
yeah. And somebody made a comment about more like VacuFlush. VacuFlush seems like a lot of maintenance. Like, what do you think about that?
It's really not. I mean, like I said, I've only had to replace the duckbill valves once in 10 years for each of the pumps.
Right.
And it's works great. The other thing is, replacing that filter.
Right, the filter's important.
Right, when you start, we normally should smell nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
Right, ever. But then when you start smelling it behind the boat after somebody flushes, that means you got to replace that filter, and that's easy. We have another video for that.
Which somebody actually did right when we started recording. Right.
Yes. Yeah, I just smelled the neighbor's boat. It's like, dude, man, replace that filter.
But like we had the old flush kind, the pump flush on our old boat.
Yeah.
And then the very first boat we had was just like a freaking can right underneath the toilet. It's pretty bad. So VacuFlush is definitely worth it, the effort.
Yeah, our previous boat didn't have a VacuFlush. It had this hand pump thing, and it would actually pump seawater in to flush, which was weird because every once in a while you'd see like a piece of seaweed come out inside the bowl.
Right.
Really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, VacuFlush is great, and no problem. You just need to understand how it works so that you can figure it out when it's not working right.
So if you want to go take a deep dive into the duckbill valve, check out the duckbill valve video. It's got over 26,000 views and probably many more by the time you watch this, right?
I guess.
All right, good job, Captain.
Where's my drink, honey?
I better get started on that.